Welcome to the Starin Town Hall. This is something that we do on a monthly basis. I am your host. My name is Chris Netto. I am the Market Development Manager here at Starin. And today I am joined by two very special guests, two people that are going to have a great conversation. And above and beyond what we normally do on a town hall, we're going to show you a product that is making a lot of waves in our industry right now. It's a product that I'm going to leave for the gentleman to introduce and talk. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but first, let me introduce our guests today. First, we will start with our guest. Tim, would you like to introduce yourself and who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, my name's Tim Mackey. I'm a field systems engineer with Yamaha Unified Communications. I have a background in IT as well as AV, and I've been in the industry probably pushing about 20 years now. So happy to be here with Bill today and looking forward to a good discussion.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Your knowledge is going to be, we're going to press it. We're going to push it to the limit. We want to see what you can offer our crowd here. Just understand that this audience that you're dealing with on our town hall are very wise and very, very savvy AV people. So I'm sure the question is going to be great. And without further ado, joining us from home base, our CEO and head of, I guess, our big cheese. Would it be the Grand Poobah of Starin? Mr. Bill Mullen, how are you, sir?
Big mucky muck. I really prefer.
Muckety muck works good. A lot of Flintstones references here today.
Grand potentate, perhaps. I'm going to squeeze this for all it's worth because I only have about another month.
Yep, go for it. The floor is yours. I know that this presentation on the brand new ADECIA product is going to be something special. So I'm going to take a seat back, let you guys drive it. And for the audience that is watching, please use the Q&A buttons down on the Zoom bar there and send in your questions for us. And we will be addressing them as we go along. We may save them for the end, but if it's something that is right in line with what they're talking, I'll jump in and throw the question their way. So please, Tim and Bill, the show floor is yours.
Stick with us throughout this because at the end, Chris is going to be giving away a Yamaha YVC 200 audio conferencer. It's part of one of Starin's packages called the Work From Anywhere package, which comes with a Hudley camera. And it's really most suitable for you to be providing at this stage where so many people are coming in, working virtually, and need a better rig, a little more professionalism in their audio video. So I'm really thrilled to be here. This is, I think, a momentous occasion. For me, this will probably be the last web presence that I have on behalf of Starin. As I mentioned, my time is drawing to where my CEO role I will be stepping down from. I will probably have some ongoing we're discussing with Midwich in terms of a retaining role of for some continuity. But I really felt it was, for me, an appropriate point to be exiting that role at a point where there's a real breakthrough that you're about to see. And I can say that, I think, legitimately because Starin has been involved, we've been blessed, quite frankly, with a number of breakthroughs in the conferencing collaboration world. And I can recount back to when a company called Gentner, then becoming Clear One, had a product that went from analog audio conferencing processor. And that in those days, we used to have to put tone into the room and actually have the unit trained to operate in that room and perform its echo cancellation function. Then came along digital. The AP 800 series was just a breakthrough phenomenon. And along comes the next step where some guys from a company called Maestro Labs approached us because we were the world's leading Clear One distributor and introduced multiple microphones, wireless microphones that you could get now up to 40 in a space. And I remember back then that I had the challenge in my integration days In particular, in downtown Chicago, where there was a high RF field, you couldn't put too many conventional wireless microphones in some of the buildings where corporate headquarters were. And so this breakthrough was known as Revo Labs. And so it really shook up the ability to place many, many microphones, have a flexible configuration in a room. I would say the next breakthrough for Starin was in the area of wireless presentation, screen sharing. Wow Vision was probably the first. And of course, that went on to become Kramer Via. And lo and behold, here comes Barco and says, we love what you did with the market development for Revo Labs. Can you help us with a product called ClickShare? And that one button ease, as everybody knows, has become a household fixture in terms of a solution building. And then of course, our time with Zoom and our Zoom ecosystem development has also been fantastic. So this ranks right in there, just to give you a preface as to how much Starin is behind this. We recognize how the Yamaha team, and of course, if you don't know, Yamaha sprang in its UC division from Revo Labs. And so there's a lot of microphone and acoustic technology. And today our guest, Tim, come to know Tim. He did an ADECIA presentation on this not more than August timeframe. And I went, wow, this guy is really knowledgeable. Where has he been? How come we haven't crossed paths, Tim? So first and foremost, I want to toast you guys for a real breakthrough. A lot of people, you might think this is a product. The term solution is thrown around so much in our world, and sometimes people are talking about, we got this solution, and they're really talking about a product. And I think it's a misuse of the term, actually. Someone might think that ADECIA is a product. Is it a mic? Is it a processor? Or what? Tell us a little bit about what the solution definition means to you.
So yeah, thanks, Bill. And interestingly enough, I was with Claire One with those products, with Revo Labs with those products, and obviously Revo Labs was acquired by Yamaha, so now I'm here with this product as well. So interesting to hear your history of the evolution of what you think the advances have been. Nice to have been along for some of that ride. So yeah, the ADECIA solution, what it is a solution. Now, of course, you can use the components individually. They do support a Dante backend, but it's a solution that really is fulfilling that marriage we've been talking about for, I think, upwards of at least 10 years now about, hey, AV and IT are coming together. They're really coming together. And I think Yamaha was uniquely positioned with a lot of technologies to actually bring some automation, some self-configuration, some auto-tuning, and some aspects and features and technologies from their other divisions into the UC space. So this is a culmination of a lot of Yamaha technologies all put together. One, for example, I didn't realize until I went to Hamamatsu, to Yamaha's headquarters back in February of 2019, that Yamaha was just an absolute leader in Japan in the routing and switching sector. They're kind of like the Cisco of routing and switching over there, and a big investor in Dante and Audinate initially. So really heavy into those technologies. So looking at Yamaha, they were able to bring a lot of these technologies from their other departments together into this complete solution. So we look at it as a solution because you can use the components individually, but when they're used together, you get a key advantage of some features in there that you don't get when you use them individually, like auto configuration, auto tuning of the room, and auto discovery of the components. So we really think it is kind of that first. You're going to see more in this space, but I think we're really going to be the first ones to bring that level of automation to the unified communication space with ADECIA.
I think you're really way ahead. And I'd like a little insight as to how that team, you can always have talented people, you can always have technologies in the background, but it's how you actually bring it together that's an important factor to creating a difference-making solution. So how did this actually come about? How did you go about that?
So actually, I got to see a lot of the competitors' products in-house and very early prototypes of this when I was in Japan. But basically, what Yamaha did is we had teams of engineers travel to the US, and it was an absolute joy hosting those teams and going around to key consultants and integrators and solutions providers here in the US and really having a sit down with all of them, you know, the CTSDs and I's of the world, and saying, you know, what are your challenges in rooms? What are the things that you'd like to see brought to bear in this space? And really trying to model the solution around what the industry is really looking for, what's been lacking in this space. You know, I really like the fact that the ADECIA kind of does away with Phoenix connectors and strippers and crimpers. I mean, we're kind of next generation beyond working with analog cables at this point. And this is really the fruition of all of that expertise and capability, yet really seeing what the market wants and producing a solution that I think fits 90% of the rooms out there. And as we move forward with a hybrid kind of work model and more hands-off equipment, it's really fitting into that model as well. So it's the culmination of a lot of research and a lot of technology and know-how all brought together. You know, Yamaha is a 130-year-old company that's rooted in audio, and we've been doing audio signal processing for well over 50 years now. So that's what's brought this all together, was the really the market driving what we're looking for here in the UC space as we move forward. So
going to want to hear a little bit more about Yamaha. I am one of a fanboy in many respects, and I'll talk to that later. But in particular, you mentioned that Cat-X is the connector of choice for this system. And that starts to speak to the meeting of AV and IT and that bridge. Give me some insights. Audio is the primary effective requirement to have a unified communications session of any kind come off as articulate, well, everybody understanding things. So we've become that big A to the big V in that respect. But how does ADECIA address this converged AV IT marketplace?
So you bring up Ethernet, and I think that's an excellent point, because about 8-9 years ago in my webinars, I used to really preach that, you know, there is no competition for Ethernet in the LAN space. It's not like back in the day, and this might date me a little, Bill, is VHS versus beta. Ethernet is the de facto standard in LAN transmission. So I used to say, hey, if you're going to put a display on that wall, I would put an Ethernet drop and a power drop up there for that display. If I wanted to future-proof that zone, I'd put a second Ethernet drop up there, because I don't know what I might do in the future, but I can darn sure guarantee you it will be over Ethernet. So everything is Ethernet-centric, and Yamaha is certainly that way with this solution. So having a solution that is truly plug and play on Ethernet is the first start. The second, I would say, is the ease of configuration of really delivering AV over IT. Back in the day when I first used to do raw 720p video streams over Ethernet, it used to take days and days to configure the layer 3 routing and switching and set up all the IGMP. Now with Dante, here we are many years later, this is all automated, it's all standardized. And to your point with the A and V, absolutely. I still preach to this day that A is far more important than V and AV. I remember a number of years ago when we were looking at these telepresence rooms, we were in a very expensive, about a $900,000 telepresence room in Dallas. And it was all a blue screen behind the 3 participants, directionalized audio, and it was very immersive, and you felt like you were in the room. And then they lost audio in that room, and the gentleman next to me elbowed me in the ribs. He says, hey, Tim, you know what we got now? I said, what we got? He said, oh, we got $900,000 surveillance because we no longer have a meeting. And that illustrated to me very clearly that audio is far more important than video, even as we're moving now into more video conferencing. Highly intelligible audio is absolutely important. The average human can listen to 1.6 conversations at a time, right? So when you think about meeting spaces in particular, you've got to have highly intelligible audio. Somebody talking in the background or 2 conversations going on at the same time is the most distracting thing in the world. We've all been in that meeting where you're like, can you speak up? What's that noise in the background? That's more fatiguing than having bad video. You can literally turn the video off. I could turn my camera off today and we could still have a great meeting. So Audio has always been Yamaha's wheelhouse. So that's what we bring to the mating space, is the priority and the importance of audio over video.
Yeah, the IT management has become a major factor in system utilization. The IT world are the decision makers. The IT folks are responsible for the maintenance and upkeep and effective utilization of these systems. Any comment about that particular almost social aspect of the product and its relativeness to their interest and needs?
So absolutely, we've certainly seen a shift with this marriage of AV and IT, of the responsibility of the AV systems, not just in a corporate environment, but even in SMBs, right? So you now have office managers, IT managers, folks that normally weren't responsible for AV. Having more automation, more auto tuning, more plug and play, more network centric products that play in their world, is going to be an easy transition for them. It's not easy to understand and grasp audio concepts. You certainly don't want to be an audio engineer or learn to be an audio engineer when you're an IT person to put an audio system in a room. Yet we're seeing a shift of responsibility for decision making in AV moving towards, more IT people have to make these decisions. That's simply all there is to it. So the more familiar the product is to them, the more network centric, SNMP management, ease of deployment, plays friendly on their network, is secure on their network. These are the things that are going to make the transition to completely AV and IT centric for them a lot easier. Yeah.
So you're kind of saying there's less, if you will, interpretation or translation of AVEs into ITEs for them. It's a much more straightforwardness situation. Yeah,
it will be with the technology. And I used to look at it, Bill, a few years back, and I go, gee, it's a lot easier, I think, for some of these IT folks now to get some of the basic audio concepts than it is for some of these really old salt audio engineers, guys that knew a mixing board and could come in and hand tune a room, for them to start grasping IP subnet routing and how things go that way. So yes, watching these worlds come together, again, I go back to automation and ease of use and simplicity makes this marriage possible.
Yeah, I think it's going to give a lot of integrators and providers a comprehensible, people will easily grasp what it is and its own self-contained solution, that side of it. Let's talk to a little bit about that's the world as it is in terms of shift. Let's talk about the shift of workspaces and what have you. I think you in this system address a lot of the changing environments. Let's speak to a little bit of that. What do you see in the world today?
So this is an interesting slide here. I like this one very much because back in the day when we used to do room design, we had these things called room criteria, ANSI standards. And for example, the background sound in a conference room was supposed to be at around 25, 30 decibels of background audio. You can just look in that picture there and know that there's no carpet, there's no soft surfaces, there's no acoustic panels, there's no consideration or thought at all for the acoustic environment in that room. That is what we now kind of jokingly call in the industry the fishbowl, and that's what it sounds like. So we have seen a shift in our industry first to these kinds of rooms where corporate transparency and architectural considerations now take the fore over acoustic considerations. So bringing technology to bear in these rooms is something Yamaha is very, very good at. We have back at our headquarters in Japan, rooms where we can adjust reverberant times from say 0.3 to 1.6 seconds. So we actually build our electronics for these challenging rooms. I know you're giving away a YVC 200 today. That's a classic example of a product that looks just like everybody else's, but is literally leaps and bounds ahead with the echo cancellation. We actually do a demo video between that and some competitive products. And I say, anyone can make a round plastic housing, a speaker element, and a microphone element. What Yamaha brings to the table is the processing between those elements. And that's extremely important in rooms like this that are highly reflective, long, what we call RT60 times or reverberant times. That's basically when you go into a room and clap your hands, How long does it take for that noise to decay 60 decibels? The longer that takes, the worse the audio is in that room. So we actually bring technologies to bear like de-reverberation, very fast adaptive echo cancellation that helps in these environments. We actually, with Revo Labs, in conjunction, we actually developed one of our products in the glass room you're looking at now, a room similar to that up at a company up in New York. So we're actually developing for these challenging rooms now, because again, the other rooms back in the day, beautiful acoustic rooms, but they had basic microphones and speakers and basic processing in them. So as the rooms change and the environments change, you need that additional know-how in processing, echo cancellation, noise suppression, de-reverberation technologies, and some other unique ones to Yamaha, like human voice activity detection and auto gain control and auto muting and level balancing. All of these technologies are brought to bear to improve the audio in rooms like these.
We're going to take a deep dive into some of those. As some people who might be LinkedIn connected to me know, my fascination with de-reverberation is amazing. I think the technology that allows us to actually remove the room, and you guys have done that in a way that I have never before witnessed. I've had that concept in mind, as many of my fellow acoustic and audio buddies have heard us talk about, and now that process is really becoming a reality. But let's talk a little bit about the solution still, and hang in there, folks. We're leading our way up to hearing is believing. You're going to hear this at work towards the end of this session, but we need to lay some groundwork here. So the primary mission is solving these key issues in the room, but it's not just a bundle of products that you've put together, Tim. It really represents how they work together. So let's take a dive into all the different processes and things that are around that. Tell us some.
So basically, the hardest thing about this system is mounting the microphone in the ceiling and then mounting the speakers on the wall. The beauty of this system is you're going to run a single Cat5 cable back to the switch. The Yamaha Layer 2 switch here is basically the heart of the star topology, or the hub and spoke topology. Yeah, thanks, Bill. I think this one works a little better for that. So what you're looking at here is the ADECIA system. We can start with one RMCG microphone, and that's what we call the microphone, is the RMCG, and then the processor is the RMCR. The line array speakers and the network switches have been in Yamaha's product lineup for some time. The new parts that actually make up ADECIA are the processor and the microphone. We'll dive down into those a little bit further. But this is your layer 2 topology. Everything is a single plug and play cable back to the switch. This is the beauty of it, right? This is that delivery of AV over IT. A single PoE plus switch is powering 30 watts a channel to the speakers, powering up the processor. None of these components need anything else other than a single Cat5 to them. With using Dante backend, all of these devices completely auto-discover each other automatically. And then you're really going to open up a GUI and go through a 5-step process, which I think we have on the next slide. No, I don't think it'll be on one after this, but let's talk about this too, Bill. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, this gets to the heart of all those different technologies.
Yeah, maybe we'll touch on this real quick, because this is some of the technology Bill and I were talking about. So we'll go around the clock from 12 o'clock here, but I want to touch on this. Two of the unique features that Yamaha brings to the table are this automatic audio tuning function. Similar to what we do with our 7.1 surround sounds in our home theaters. If you buy a Yamaha 7.1 surround sound, it's going to come with a microphone that you place on the couch, and it's going to play pink noise through the speakers. It's going to auto-tune for the room. We're bringing that level of automation into the UC space. So that's what that auto-tuning function is. And then I touched on this, the HVAD, human voice activity detection. Humans can hear obviously from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And right around in here up to about 8K at the lower frequency range is human speech. Well, when you can differentiate between speech and background noise, for example, the noise reduction, we can filter completely across the human speech range without having to tiptoe through across the human hearing range without having to tiptoe through the speech range and eliminate the speech itself. So the HVAD is powerful for enhancing these other technologies. Adaptive AEC, anytime there's an echo path change, we're going to converge very rapidly on it. Automatic gain control. I'm actually going to demonstrate that to you here in a little bit. And by the way, I'm actually talking to you today on the ADECIA system. So we'll take a look at the gain control on this. Automatic room EQ, just like I talked about, like with the home theater. The ADECIA system, when we get to that next slide, is going to auto-tune to the room, and we'll take a look at that. Automatic tracking. Whether you're looking at a Yamaha beamformer or our standard mic arrays, we are literally tracking to your lips when you walk around the room. Funny enough, with the YVC 1000 system, when you have the mic puck arrays out on the table, you can actually see the LEDs brighten up when you're to see which one is locked onto you as you walk around the room. Same concept here with the ADECIA. No matter where I go in this space, I have a beam locked onto me. Dereverberation. Not a lot of folks bring that technology to unified communications. I don't know a lot of people that put that technology in their UC products at all. We actually are able to look at the signals coming into the microphone, and we can say, yeah, that's the far end signal. We're going to cancel that out. And if I say yes, and it sees another yes immediately come in, it knows that's an echo. So we're doing advanced processing before it gets sent to the far end to remove any redundancy, echo, or reverberation, really in that lower speech range from about 8K down, right? And then noise reduction. Noise reduction is looking for steady state noises like air conditioning systems, HVAC, a fan and a projector, you know, any sort of hum from something. That's a steady state noise. Now think about it. With the HVAD, we get a better signal to noise ratio because we don't have to tiptoe through certain certain frequency ranges. We can filter across the whole thing. So this is the under the hood technology that's in many of the products, like from the YVC 200 all the way up to the ADECIA. So yeah, that other slide, Bill, back to that 5-step process. So after you've plugged all the cables together, and this is the beauty of it, right? This is the simplicity. You're going to log into the unit with USB, open up the onboard GUI, and it's going to say, are these your devices that you want in the system? Yes. It's then going to say, is this your left speaker? Much like the home theater. Is this your right speaker? It'll light the LED, play some pink noise out of it. You go, yep, those are my speakers. It'll then ask you to be quiet. It's going to go through about a 60-second process where it plays sounds and noises. And that's like having an audio engineer come into that room and set all the basic criteria for the audio in that room, your ERL, your echo cancellation, your initial input gain structure, your far end audio levels. This is the magic part of the system that ADECIA is bringing when Bill says, tell me about AV and IT merging. This is as simple as buying a home router, plugging it in and going through a quick startup guide, except now you're setting up world-class audio in any environment, from an open area like I'm in here, and I'll show you the area I'm in here in just a little bit, to a single standard conference room. And I think what plays well with this solution as well is the fact that it will be a hands-off solution as we get back and migrate back into the workspace, because it is a ceiling mic. It's a touch-free solution, so that's going to pay dividends with the returning to work situation we have. Now, taking a look at these components, what's really cool here is the magic inside this, and I keep saying magic, but it really sounds phenomenal. The processing and the echo canceling is on board this microphone. So yes, these are a Dante set of line array speakers, which are designed specifically for conferencing, and we'll look at those. There's 16.5-inch elements and the amplifier section in them. Again, single Cat 5 back to the switch. But all of the algorithms and processing in this microphone is designed for the microphone. We'll take a look upcoming at the actual pattern of the mic array itself. But the major difference between this and any other ceiling mic is it requires no configuration. There are no lobes to configure. It generates very tight, about 15-degree narrow dynamic beams that track the people that are walking around the room. So that's the magic of this system, again, is no configuration of the microphone at all. And think about it, and we'll take a look at a room in a reconfigurable space coming up here. If you move the tables around with a competitor's mic, you have to come in and adjust the lobes. Or if somebody sets some chairs up in the corner of the room, they might be in a null spot. When you set this microphone at a standard 8, 9, 10-foot distance, you're going to get a beautiful 25-foot coverage area without having to configure a thing. Now that said, because it's all Dante backend and discovery and routing on these, you can use this with a third-party DSP. It supports 3 Dante streams, one in for echo reference, and then a fully processed out, and then a non-processed out for, say, speech recognition applications and those sorts of things. So very advanced algorithms and curves, all of the processing and the DSP is on board the mic, and it's designed to be a ceiling mic. It's different programming than we have for, say, our gooseneck or tabletop mics. You couple that with the line arrays and the processor, and you have a system, and we'll talk about some of the advances here with the XLR connectors you can see. You have a system that is plug and play, auto-configurable. The hardest part about the system is mounting the microphone and speakers and running the wires back. That's it. From there, you get world-class audio without having to be an audio engineer to get there.
We have a lot of visuals that you provided that help support that overview you just gave us. So let's take one at a time. Let's look at line array, since it's the first time that it's really been applied to the conferencing room, and explain for those who might be more video based or might not be audio guys, why line array?
Yeah, and by the way, I have them right here behind me, and I'm listening to you now on the line arrays. Line arrays, Yamaha developed these specifically, the VXLs, for conferencing. Even though they sound beautiful with music, they're pretty much a full range speaker from about 160 hertz to 20K. But they're very elegant. They're 2 inches wide, 4 inches deep, and 44 inches tall, and are fully ADA compliant when you mount them flush on the table. And you can also mount them right up against the display and get them to almost disappear. So functionally, they're a very elegant speaker that go on the wall. But here's what really differentiates them for me. I wouldn't have thought of line arrays in a conferencing environment, but they're absolutely outstanding for it. And here's why. You look at a standard traditional point source speaker, it's going to radiate audio in 360 degrees. It's going to bounce off the walls, the floor, the ceiling. With a true line array speaker, it's 180 degree horizontal dispersion, actually 170 with these, and only 25 degrees vertical dispersion. So you're projecting the audio right through the space horizontally without bouncing off the floors and ceiling. Interestingly enough, these VXLs are only 9 decibels over 40 foot. So I could be in a 40-foot room, and it's only 9 dB at the back wall from standing right in front of the speaker at the head end of the table. So now think about it. I got a 40-foot room and I put a 20-foot table in there. That means I could now have maybe a 5 decibel drop from one end of the table to the other. That's like having a zone speaker system in there and a full blanket of audio at a nice background listenable level.
And why do we put ceiling speakers in the first place, if not for uniform coverage, a blanket of even listening environment? This achieves the same net effect.
It does. And you can project these up to about a 40, 50-foot environment. I'm in a 30 by 50 room here, Bill. And I've actually had folks up here and had music playing in them. They're really kind of perfect. They are a line array speaker for conferencing developed by Yamaha. And they are part of the package here with the ADECIA solution.
I think of what a friend of mine, Jim Long, from Electro Voice. A lot of people know of Jim Long because he literally was an educator mentor in many respects. And he had the simplest way of putting it: put sound where the ears are.
I like that.
So the whole point of directivity in sound control has to do with that. And you've done a remarkable job of getting that coverage.
Yeah, and again, only 9 dB over 40 feet. So they really are perfect for this application. We'll take a look at a room where they really fit in well. And they hide well. There's a very slim, elegant speaker. They do come in black and white, but they are fully paintable. So please get funky with your workspace. Have some fun with it.
Who sells Coke? We've got Coke Red ready to go there. So you said the components are all network based, and you also said that Yamaha is kind of known in the switcher world, routing world over in Japan. Tell us a little bit about that internal component.
So yeah, I think I mentioned that we're the #1 provider of network infrastructure in small to mid-sized businesses. But the beauty of Dante and these speakers and the microphone, this is the heart of the system. It's now the components, we say it's a PoE plus system. The line arrays want PoE plus, the 30 watts of PoE plus, not the 15 watts of standard PoE, but we don't need PoE plus plus. So it's just PoE plus. The CR processor needs PoE plus. Interestingly enough, the microphone doesn't. He uses standard PoE, but for all intents and purposes, we just say it's a PoE plus system. Now, the beauty of this is Dante runs on pretty much anybody's layer 2 switch. You don't need a fancy layer 3 switch. You do not need to log into this switch. There's no CLI. It's not a layer 3. It's just layer 2, which means you take it out of the box, you plug it in, and that's it. And that's the beauty of it. But we understand that this system may need to go on corporate networks as well. And Dante's pretty ubiquitous these days. Most folks support Dante on their switches. You're really looking at LLDP, which is Link Layer Discovery Protocol. So there may be a couple of off brands of switches out there that won't support this system. So do check that. But yeah, 99% of the systems out there, it's just plug and play. That's the beauty of it. This is standardization. Dante's done a heck of a job becoming a de facto standard audio routing mechanism over Ethernet. You don't want to know how long it used to take me to set this stuff up 15 years ago with IGMP. We have come a long, long way. So, but again, anybody's switch will suffice.
Chris, have you been keeping an eye on the chat window and any questions? You got something in from some of the audience?
Absolutely, because it's a town hall and it wouldn't be a town hall without questions, but you guys were riffing, so I decided to let you guys continue. Oh, okay. But we do have 2 questions that I would like to point out there since you guys are taking a break. The first question comes in from an anonymous attendee. Did you say that Dante ceiling mics could be used with third-party DSP and that each mic would require 3 channels?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me clarify that. So we use Dante for the back-end routing and auto discovery of our system. You can use our microphone as a Dante microphone. The channels are this. It has one reference channel in for the AEC. So if I'm using this with, say, a biamp DSP, I'm going to need the AEC reference in for the echo canceller. All of the DSP and all the processing is on board our mic. Now, it generates 2 audio streams automatically out. The first one is fully processed and mixed, and the other one has only linear processing for voice recognition and some unique applications. So yes, it's a full process stream out or a non-process stream out and an echo cancel reference in. It's that basic. Now, you can use this. Here's where it gets really cool. Suppose you've got a biamp DSP and all 8 of your echo canceled inputs are occupied, but you got an extra line input. You could utilize this microphone and have it be the echo canceller and the DSP and have it come into that line input. Now you've just expanded that system very elegantly by adding this microphone. Same with our speakers while we're talking about that. Our line array speakers, we sell through another division of Yamaha as well. They're a beautiful Dante line array speaker. Even though they are developed specifically for conferencing, they're used in many, many corporate applications. So the microphone can be used with anybody's third-party Dante DSP, and the line arrays can be used in anybody's third-party Dante system as well. But when you pair it up with the CR, which we'll take a little closer look at, you get the power of the system as a solution, what Bill was talking about. The fact that you can have it auto-discover. You don't need to open up Dante controller, route this. This does it by itself. That's the beauty of it. So yeah, back to the question, 3 streams, 1 echo cancel reference in, fully processed out and unprocessed out for the most part.
All right, we got 2 more questions. We'll try to get these taken care of right now. Tim, as far as the switch, the question comes in from Bob Wolf. When you say that you can use anyone's switch, it sounds like it can be an unmanaged switch. Does it matter if it's managed or unmanaged?
Yeah, great question. It doesn't matter at all. If you want to manage your switch and have VLANs and trunking going on, you certainly can. But the beauty of it is it doesn't. It's very simplistic. Any layer 2 switch that supports Dante, and most of them do, it will work.
Okay. The question came in from Bradford Ben. Is there going to be a shorter VXL? The JBL CBT50 has been my go-to speaker for next to displays. One of the reasons is its size.
Yes, and We do make a half-size VXL with 8 drivers instead of the 16, but it is not a PoE Plus and can't participate in ADECIA. So right now, this is it. But check this space moving down the road. And that's the beauty of this. I might hint at this. This is the beginning of the ADECIA family of products. So there will be more to come in the future. Obviously, this is the birth of what will be an expanding product line.
I got to talk to Bill before Bill decides to leave. I need to get an organ for these town halls so I can play the mystery music or that mystery tone when you leave us with these hints and teases, Tim. So I will be working on that for 2021. The third question that has popped in, does the ceiling microphone fit into a standard 2x2 ceiling tile grid?
And that's an excellent question. So that pertains to this slide too. So Yamaha is a very thoughtful company, and we didn't want to be infringing on anybody's IP or patents or anything like that. So we took a look at what was going on with the litigation surrounding direct ceiling tile form factors and made sure that we didn't infringe on any of that. Ours is not a direct ceiling tile replacement. It's actually just a little bit smaller. And you cut a round hole in the ceiling tile just like you would with mounting a standard ceiling speaker, right? This picture you're looking at here shows it flushed into sheetrock. So if this was in a drop ceiling, you would see a little bit of tile still around the edge of it. So that's how we're avoiding all of that. But for all intents and purposes, yes, it will fit within a 2x2. It's just a little bit smaller, 2x2 tile. This is the M6 rigging option, which I have here, and I'll show you here in a second. And I think the other slide, Bill, showed the VESA mount with the 100 millimeter. You can do a VESA mount as well. We include the T-bar drop ceiling mounting kit with the ADECIA solution. So you can see above Bill's head there, the kind of pseudo drop ceiling. We'll include the kit to mount it in that. But you could use a VESA mount or the M6 rigging points as well, like I am here today.
Sounds great. So let's, wow. How many? Okay. There's another question that popped up in the chat.
Yeah, let me pop it up. I think I can see these. This is from Alex.
How many lobes are in each mic and how steerable, adjustable are they?
Great. Actually, that leads us right into where Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, but before we get into the meat of that, I want you to know, having seen your mic configuration and knowing the other technology pretty well, here again, there's not going to be any risk of being subject to the kind of litigation that we've seen in the industry. This mic configuration is not only very unique, but it makes a lot of acoustic sense in terms of pattern capabilities. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, and again, Alex, great question. So let me get that answered for you. Yamaha took a lot of time looking at how everybody else is doing their ceiling mic arrays. For example, one of our competitors uses a cross or an X pattern. One uses concentric circles. We'll have a ring of mics, a ring of mics, a ring of mics. We're looking at the Shore pattern here. That's obviously one of our direct competitors, right? We took a long look at those microphones developing this one. In fact, I got to see one of the prototypes back in February of 2019. It was very cool. What we've developed is Yamaha's spiral pattern arrangement on the MIBs, on the microphone elements. We have 64 microphones. And again, Shore uses concentric circles. And what we actually found was we ended up with microphone elements that were more equidistant from each other with this arrangement. We found that it performed very well in the upper frequency range. It is beautiful for speech. Now, here's what really differentiates us from other products. There are no configuration. There is no getting in and setting up lobes or pickup areas. These are dynamic beams. So here's how it works. We're in a room. Bob starts to talk. He gets a 15-degree, very focused, narrow beam on him. Sally chimes in. She gets a beam. Dave starts to speak. He gets a beam. Somebody else starts to speak. They get a beam. We can generate out of this spiral array up to 4 beams. And back to what I was talking about earlier. Let's think about that. When I used to work for Claire One, I used to never program more than 3 mics open at any given time. I may have 40 microphones in a room, but we call it NOM counter, number of open mics. you know, once one person starts to talk and then another and then a third person, I don't want any more mics open than that, because beyond 3 people talking, it's an Italian family dinner, not a meeting. So here's the concept with this mic. It's developed specifically for conferencing. This isn't a choir mic. You're not going to put it above 30 people singing and have it beautifully hear all of their voices summed together. It doesn't do that. What it does is it goes into a conferencing space and puts what we like to call a virtual wearable microphone on all the participants in that meeting. So there's no reconfiguring for lobes or areas. Now let's take a look at the beam here on this chart. The red one is ours. The green one is a standard 45-degree lobe on a shore. So if you take a room with the shore and divide it into 360 degrees, just by dividing it equally, you're going to end up with these 45-degree lobes. That might be picking up 2 people talking, some background noise. It's not as tight, not as clean as that focused, tight beam. Now, the blue representations is shore. You can narrow the shore beam down, but then you're going to end up with null spots. When we first did a side-by-side comparison with shore, we had somebody stand in the corner of the room, literally in the corner. And that person with our microphone with the dynamic beam on them sounded just like they were sitting at the table. They were actually in a null spot in the shore configuration. So I think that's the real big game changer element of this, is there are no lobes to configure. There is nothing to do with it. You plug it in and off you go. It's just that simple. So I hope that illustrates what we've done with the design of the mic. And again, all of the curves, all the processing are for a ceiling array. So
we got another question that came in, Tim, if you want to kind of go at it.
On the Q&A. How does the price point compare to the pricey Clear One, Sennheiser, and Shure options? So we can get through, I think we got some pricing slides at the end, but just for basic stuff, the ceiling microphone, I believe MSRP is $4,499 or $449. And you have to check and scald me, Greg Carswell, my salesman, after this meeting for not knowing the number exactly, but it's basically $4,500. And the CR processor, the magic part of this that does all the routing and gives you your inputs and outputs we'll take a look at, is $1999. So very compatible, very well priced, in my opinion, when you start looking at it with the competitors and all we bring to the table with it as well. So we're very happy with the pricing point from all the feedback we've gotten too. So
for the sake of time, guys, I want to cruise through what was going to be some of the processor info, because we can learn some of that stuff within a training session, and we'll have some trainings coming up for sure. But I think some of the people will be able to get this information online.
So let me go through this really quick, Bill, because I know we're tight for time and I'd like to show people my room. So if we can go back to that first slide, and I'll just highlight some things on the front of the unit. There's your Bluetooth pairing button. By the way, the interfaces for this are phenomenal. It's a SIP endpoint. We have a full open API for AMX or Crestron or any third-party control. It has line in and out for standard Cisco codec. It's USB. I'm talking to you on today. It has a Bluetooth pairing button, and it bridges between these interfaces. For local voice lift and town hall meetings in the room, we've added 2 XLRs that not only can you do local voice reinforcement, but these can be routed with the ceiling microphone to the far end as well. Very elegant solution to giving you some clip-on wearables. And by the way, with a mixer in front of this, you can put as many mics as you want voice lifted into the room. Full echo suppression and feedback suppression on these for that function. Let's take a look at the back panel. And the first thing you'll notice, no electricity, no power. There's your Dante network. That's what it's plugged into on the switch. We've got 2 out of bands. This could be your SIP switch, and this could be your out of band corporate management, and SNMP we'll have in the next release as well. I'm currently talking to you on the USB right here. Here's your next, I think the next slide. Yeah, USB out. And if you don't want to use the line array speakers, you won't get all that auto tuning magic, but you can use your own, like Bill said, your own zone speaker array or whatever you want to do downstream. And then there's your line level in and out for your codec, or we're seeing application spec for distance learning, lecture capture out, as well as program audio in. Now the beauty here, no Phoenix connectors. Even if you're doing your own amp, you're never going to see analog wire and strippers and crimpers with this. And there's a nice under table mounting bracket as well, because we not only can this go in the rack, but we envision it being in the room as well. So
let's talk application.
This room is a perfect application for ADECIA. And then we'll take a look at the room I'm in. This room you're looking at is about a 35 by 60 training space. And here's the beauty of it. You put mic A in the ceiling here, mic B in the ceiling here. I would, on 2 columns, put my line arrays, which would cover this entire space comfortably. And that's it. Run everything back to the switch in the processor, go through the 5-step GUI, and you have world-class audio in this room. I can have a presenter with a beam on him walking from display to display to display. It'll hand from mic to mic. And by the way, we'll understand if 2 beams are on one person and automatically select the appropriate beam. That's the beauty of the ADECIA system. Yes, you could have this with our mics and someone else's DSP, but as a solution, as Bill was saying initially, that's the solution part, right? Management of all these beams. You can have all of these participants with a beam on every single one of them in a lively far-end video conference, if you so choose. When you move these tables around for a different setup for the next day, you don't have to call your audio engineer back in to redo the lobes. This room reeks of ADECIA for me. Auto configuration, auto tuning of the room, the line arrays, just a perfect application for a full-blown ADECIA. Now we can do smaller rooms and then you can expand and add that second microphone. So right now a fully fleshed out ADECIA is 2 ceiling mics and 2 of the line arrays.
Cool. Let's get to hearing is believing. I'm going to stop the share so that you can guide people on a tour of your...
Thank you, Bill. So again, I'm going to do something a little different on our town hall today. So I am in Austin, Texas. I have been working from home. Funny enough, I've been a Yamaha nut my whole life. I have 10 motorcycles in my man cave here with me. And I set up a little office area in the end of my motorcycle workshop. So to show you what I've been talking on today, there is the microphone in my space above my head that I'm talking on. And I'm going to go ahead and mute in the platform. You should see the LED green in the bottom left corner start pulsing red, and I'll count 1, 7, 8. So you get full interoperability with whatever platform you're using. Here is the entire system, folks. There's my RMCR processor, and there's the heart of the system that powers everything, the switch. Everything else is a single Cat5, and I threw some Matchbox cars up there just for scale of reference, right? This is where we're going in UC. It just is not going to get any easier than plug and play and auto configuration with this system. And then here you go. Here's a wide angle look of me here in my space today. And again, I'm underneath the microphone right here. I'm 6 foot, and this is about 8 foot. So I'm about 10'6" in here. And here's an example of the speaker tracking right on my lips. As I walk around this environment, it will stay locked onto me. I might sit down in this location, which I've measured out is 12 feet from my mouth to my microphone. And an example of the automatic gain control. I might be one of those people who talks really quietly in the meeting, or I might even be whispering. Now I'm literally whispering 12 feet away from this microphone. And as I start to talk a little bit louder and a little bit louder and back to normal, it's going to compensate with that automatic gain control. Now I was actually playing with Bill, the other day, tripping over my line arrays. I was backing up and saying how far we could get away from this. And I know my fridge here is 17 feet away from this microphone.
I still don't hear the room.
And if I open the door and walk outside, this beam will stay locked onto me. So now I'm literally standing outside the building, and now I'm whispering outside the building, talking in a whisper 17 feet away outside the door. So that's a quick demonstration of the system and the tracking, the automatic gain control, and the dynamic beams locking onto me. Here are the line array speakers. And you know, I'm in a 30 by 50 space here. This is a 14 by 14 door with 16-foot walls to give you a little bit of perspective. And I've gotten 30 feet away, literally 30 feet from this beamformer. And my salesman's going, man, that sounds phenomenal. But I would probably cover this space with 2 of them. And that's going to be the beauty of this. 90% of the rooms and spaces, and you can, this system is going to be a plug and play solution for. And as you can see, you don't have to have the mic in a drop ceiling. Mine's free air and is available in black as well. So that's it. And again, I love this mic because I can sit, roll around, pretty much point in any direction I want, and not worry about my microphone. And so thanks for your time.
Absolutely, sir. You love what you do. God, especially the part where you get to lean back and hang out. Two comments that have popped up. One, it sounds amazing. That came in from an anonymous attendee that, was impressed with your walk around. So kudos to you. The other thing is, I think that Greg Croswell is going to be sending you a check in the mail for the shout out that you gave him. That was up there earlier. So he did approve of your shout out. So that's awesome. In closing, Bill, any last words or comments on the ADECIA product?
I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to be able to have firsthand use, be able to check it out. I know that some of the field service engineering folks for Yamaha are getting similar configurations set up in their rank. Some of the reps will be coming into that. And as well, Starin has what's called a try it to like it program. You can use that, of course, to go out and demonstrate firsthand to a customer on especially projects that are of size where you're trying to validate, hey, you're going to put in 20, 30, 50 of these rooms. Let's set up a pilot and have it prove itself. On the other hand, if you just want to get one in-house for your own satisfaction, your own QC, having your people get familiar with it, that's what the intent of the Try It to Like It program is all about. We might say the ADECIA has a unique name, and for a while there, I couldn't get clear as to how it was spelled or pronounced. But Tim, you gave me a really good memory jog on how to remember the ADECIA name. So lay it on me.
So again, that was one of the first questions we had come up. Where does the word ADECIA come from? And let me scroll up here. ADECIA comes from the Spanish word decir, which means to say or to speak. And the way I remember it, Bill, is a decibel. We're in the sound business, a decibel, ADECIA. So that was the little cheat I used for ADECIA.
I appreciate that.
Sounds well. Thank you.
And we do have one question from Kyle too. Certification with Teams, Microsoft. Yes, that's in the works for both platforms, for Microsoft Teams and for Zoom. We are working on that certification. Right now, we are fully compatible though with any platform, those included.
This answers that question on how much will it cost. It's in several configurations, as you can show here. Tim, give us the rundown.
Yeah, so you can get it in black and white. That's the B&W. Up there is single speaker, single with two microphones. So that's the fully fleshed out system. Ceiling array, black and white audio processor switch, and two speakers. Ceiling array switch and two speakers without the processor. Ceiling array, audio processor, and switch. But again, the base prices for the units here $4,499 is what it was in 1999. So again, I think we're going to be selling a lot of those at that price point as a cohesive system. I remember people used to ask me, how much is it, Tim, in this 20 by 40 room to go from a tabletop solution to a fully integrated solution? And we'd go, it's about 24, 22 grand to outfit this room. So we've come a long way from there. And this gives you that same world-class installed level of quality. So
this slide only points out that this really is, I'm a Yamaha fanboy. I've got a grand piano disc clavier. I've had a Clavinova. I have Cubase as my workstation. And probably my greatest impact was when my Clavinova, 7 years old, had a key stick. Yamaha repair service guy came out. He goes, oh, let me see. I'm going to take this entire key structure out, and took it back to his shop, brought back a brand new entire keyboard hammering structure. And he said, no charge. And I said, what? That made me a lifetime fan of the kind of quality mindedness that Yamaha has. And I think that's why the name is so well known in a lot of different industries. Of course, it represents a breakthrough. in a nutshell, I think we've got something that everybody is going to want to experience and find homes for. So we're here to help you do that. Chris, do we have a winner?
We have a couple more Q&A if we can do rapid fire with Tim.
Go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me open them up.
It's the second half of Alex's question. He asked about the steerable adjust. How quickly does the beam pick up a person speaking? Meetings can be very fluid with multiple speaking back and forth with each other. Is there any delay in the beam searching for the pickup of whoever is speaking?
So we're talking milliseconds in that initial lock on to people. So yes, if as you first start to speak as a first new participant and the beam locks onto you, it does take just some milliseconds to lock onto you. And that's just part of it being a dynamic beam, right? And what's interesting, once it has you though, then you can get up and move around and it's just rock solid locked onto you. So in a dynamic conferencing environment, it works very, very well. Like I said, up to 4 people talking. Beyond that, it becomes an Italian family dinner, or maybe 2 at 4 people.
Okay.
Again,
next question.
Humans can understand 1.6 conversations at a time. That's it. And we're programmed to decode sound. So anything beyond 3 people talking is unintelligible.
Okay. Next question comes in from Bob Wolf. He's asking, well, first of all, he says this is amazing. Is this going to be available as a rack mount version of it, or will there be, is there a rack mount kit kind of accessory to this as well? Or is it coming? Is it there?
Yeah, great question. So it's 1 U high, half rack U wide, and does come with rack ears. We also have an under table bracket. I don't know if we had a picture of that, but yes, we have an under table bracket, which is very cool. Because think about it. You could mount this right under the table, single Cat 5 to it. You have your XLRs there, so your CEO can plug in a handheld mic and do a town hall meeting. And there's your Bluetooth pairing button, or it might go on a credenza. But we have under table or under cabinet bracket and the rack ears. The rack ears come with it. I think the bracket's an accessory.
Sounds good. The last 2 questions that we have in chat are Starin questions. One's regarding how do points look for dealers. Obviously, your Starin rep can help with those questions. The other one is a basic requirement for try to buy program. What are the requirements? And that, again, that's something that your customer service rep at or customer experience reps can assist you guys with.
It's going to be, I'll just add, it's going to be a generous program. Because just like when we introduced Barco ClickShare, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units out there under that program because people needed to be convinced. And I think from the comments of amazing being used left and right in this session, we all came to learn pretty quickly that hearing is believing. And when you see the performance of this system, Tim sounded for every respect like this microphone, the proximity I am to that, and the presence that I have in my voice throughout that large space. And if you just think about what a garage that large, even though it looks like it's insulated, how boomy or roomy that would ordinarily sound. I heard a shade of it, but I did not hear what you would normally expect out of any normal microphone or any other beam steering type of device. So the cumulative effect of everything that Yamaha has put together in this, like I said, for my career at Starin to come to its chapter with this product for me is mind-blowing. And I think you guys are going to have all the cooperation. You guys are early adopters literally on this session. So talk to us about opportunities. Talk to about how many ways you might want to crusade, do a little missionary work with us, become known to your customers of having something that is easy and effective.
Sounds great. Thank you, Bill. That's a strong endorsement. As somebody who has
I don't do this stuff lightly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you for
thank you everybody for your time
answering
today.
Questions, going above and beyond the normal town hall, which we typically just go right into a 15-minute back and forth. But this time we we wanted to change it up a bit. And obviously with Bill Mullen joining us as well, we knew this was going to be more of a jam session, more so than our traditional town hall. Tim, where can we find more information about ADECIA and Yamaha?
Please visit our website at uc.yamaha.com. And please reach out to any of us. Your Starin contacts know all of the regional sales gentlemen, any of us field engineers. We just love talking ADECIA right now with anybody and anybody who wants to. So yeah, reach out to us. You can contact us through the website as well, or through your Starin reps too.
Hey, Chris, to tell you how captivating this was, we had the same number of people in this session as we started with, and we're 5 minutes past our time. But maybe that's because they're looking for a prize.
Absolutely. And and the prize generator wheel has spun, and Mark Decker has sent me the name, and I'm about to read off the grand prize winner of a YVC 200, courtesy of our friends at Yamaha. So the winner of the prize is a gentleman by the name of Philip Lavrashev. You, sir, have won the YVC 200, courtesy of Yamaha and Starin. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. This has been our November town hall. It is November. We are kind of, everything, every month kind of just bleeds into each other right now. We are still in November. This has been our November town hall. My name is Chris Netto. I'm the market development manager here at Starin. I am the host for today's wonderful town hall, with Mr. Bill Mullen joining us and Timothy Mackey joining us from Yamaha. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, please check out our website. Hit us up on our email and contact information that's there. Starin.biz is the website. That's where you can find out all of our information, all the great products, and you can get right into your dealer portals right there and find out more about this product especially. So reach out, let us know. Have a great Thanksgiving for those that are going to be home, and well, many of us are going to be home, and we will see you in December. We will do our holiday special in December with some special guests, some special just all around special time. So I'll see you then. Thank you very much for joining us at the Starin Town Hall. We'll see you next month for the December.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mark.